Hey folks, how you doing out there? Welcome to Drink and Wink and another info review redo. It's kind of fun to go back and revisit some of these things I've talked about, either somewhat recently or distant past. This one I'm pretty sure I haven't talked about in a while, other than maybe a mention of some sort. It's been a while since I've come up and drink on it, drink and brought it up on Drink and a Wink. I was kind of contemplating some things, and I was having a little chat with a few folks today, and kind of reminded, like, I gotta do what I like to do. So I'm gonna keep doing what I like doing here. I hope you are enjoying the content, but I am still gonna try to mix it around and get these different things. But as you all know, single malt Scotch whiskey is my favorite, and I'm hoping. As I mentioned, more of a single malt Scotch whiskey, blended Scotch whiskey, and then everything else. I'm hoping that, sometimes I'm talking about one whiskey that you're looking at, and another time I might be, I'm not going to try to convince you, you must go out and drink single malt Scotch whiskey. But maybe if you've had one or two or a certain type and you're kind of like, ugh, no, I don't like it. Hopefully I'm giving you some options to show you the wide range of the many flavors that we can find in each category. I can find you everything as all the different color palettes. Just with single malt Scotch whiskey, I can get you stuff that I can help you along to find stuff that's fruity, like apples, or more nutty, or more autumnal, more dark fruits, and more smoky, and some that has no smoke at all. And I think one of the weird things that I'm kind of noticing is when we talk about bourbon here a lot of times, and I'm looking at other review sites, and I'm looking at some other people, some other content creators, they really get stuck into this thing of, like, we have to have one or two that we really like, and all of them are rated against that, and we get our favorites. And I don't know. I'm not going to go on in there, but I don't understand. Like, okay, well then, why are you reviewing other things, or why would it matter? Vive la différence, all right, to use a Scottish phrase. Joking. Faux ignorance. Although I'm not the smartest or sharpest, I'm not the smartest knife in the drawer. I'm not the smartest knife in the bulb. So that's what I kind of am doing here, and I'm going to revisit some Scotch whiskey. And now that we're getting more into the season, it's going to be more fun for me to talk about the stuff that I like. I'm still going to talk about all whiskeys as much as I can, but I am going to kind of come back and focus on single malt Scotch whiskey, because it's what I know, it's what I love. And it's what I love to tell everyone about, because it's just very fascinating for me. So, without further ado, I'm going to pick up and start talking about something here. Here in Chicago and most of the Midwest, and really all over the country, we really have been dealing with a warmer, hotter summer than I can remember. But that seems like it happens and tops itself every year. But in the last couple of days, I've noticed that I was walking home today, and noticed there was just a little bit of a cool breeze going through the air. So it's not going to be far from the time when we are, lighting a campfire, lighting up a little patio, fireplace and stuff like that. And we're gonna need something that has a little bit more, as we move into autumn. Something that has a little more, just a little different from our summer fruity, sweet flavors. And that's what I'm going to bring you today. One of my favorites. I haven't talked about this in a long time. The distillery is the Bruichladdich distillery. Okay, boy, I said the name of it better than I did with just the word distillery. And we are talking about Port Charlotte's, the Port Charlotte 10-year-old, which is listed as heavily peated whiskey. Okay, now if you are unfamiliar with this distillery, I know I brought it up before. This is a newer distillery to come online here, and they are on the island of Islay. They make a whole host of different types of whiskey. They make one called the Classic Laddie, which is in a blue bottle. I don't know if you can see it over. It's kind of out of reach, and it's got behind some bottles, but no, you can't see it. That is a no age statement, but phenomenal unpeated single malt Scotch whiskey. Very delicious, very affordable, very unique. They give you every bit of information as to you know what you're drinking in terms of the aging and stuff like that. Very fun. And this distillery, Bruichladdich, is a very interesting company. They choose to put every bit of information, if not on the bottle, on the website. Sometimes on some of their products, you could actually scan a barcode on there and find out exactly the batch and all this kind of information. Not so much with Port Charlotte 10, but I know on Bruichladdich Classic Lottie, you can do that. You can get that as well. The thing that's most fascinating about this is they are, you know, all companies are trying a manner of using local products and local this and putting that on the labels. But this company is just very clear about what they're using. They also have something that's called just a local barley, which is very good. We've had that. We've never owned it, but we've tasted it. Then on the other side of the coin, if you want to talk about challenge whiskey, and this is one that I've never had, they also make this series of developing every year or so. It's called Octomore, and that is some of the most heavily peated whiskey that you can imagine. And I'll explain that just a little bit more. Most of you know what I'm talking about with peated whiskey, but now that I'm talking about, first off, we'll go through this a million times. They wet the grain. Okay, the grain starts to sprout. They have to stop that sprouting because then the enzymes and the starches, the sugars, all kinds of stuff happens there. But they have to stop that sprouting, and then they grist it up, and that's how they make. That's what malting is. If it's what we call unpeated, okay, they're just stopping that by turning on a fire. It could be an electric fire. It could be any manner. It could be, you know, anything that could burn underneath. But that's how they do it. Matter of fact, more and more now when they're malting, they're just using electric, you know, heaters. However, if you take peat, okay, think of it's the same thing as charcoal. Okay, people think that's so gross. If you take charcoal and you cook something, you're going to get some of that flavor on the meat you're eating, or whatever you're eating, right? Okay, you're not putting it on the charcoal. It's the same thing with the peat. So instead of using, let's say, wood, they put in some bricks of peat, and that's how they do that. How, to the degree that you do that, okay, and the amount of as you're kind of blending together this single malt, then you get what's called a phenol level, okay. So it can go from anywhere from like 40 phenols per million or parts per million, or way up to all manner of things. Laphroaig and Ardbegs are kind of just a little higher than this one. That usually range in the 50 range. Okay, Octomores can get up into the 200s, I guess. I don't know. It's firewater, literally. This one falls in at the level of about 40. Okay, let me tell you a little bit more about the flavors and tastes. This is 100% Scottish barley from Inverness-shire, the Inverness-shire region. And just to show you on this little black and white map of the island of Islay, Bruichladdich is right there on the kind of on the west side of the Loch and Dal, there, right there. Okay, and that's where you see that it's almost directly across from Bowmore. Whereas our more like traditional, the big three maybe, and the other brands would maybe complain about that description, but Ardbeg, Lagavulin, and Laphroaig are right there on the southeast of that island. Okay, heavily peated, aged 10 years. The other thing that's phenomenal about this is that right on the bottle they're telling you all natural color, and no chill filtering. And the reason why I picked this one is because right away when you start nosing it, you get peat, but there isn't a lot of like seaweed and briny smells. It's more of your campfire, and it's a little fruity, meaning grilled fruits, grilled dark fruits, really nice. Little pears, grilled apricots, grilled, just that kind of thing. It's in there. You just look at just the barley scent, but that's nice. It's just a nice combination of some fruity smells, some more traditional malted barley sugars and things like that, and then the peat. The peat is there, but it's more like charcoal or campfire than anything seaweed related. Mm. On the taste, those fruits that I described continue. On the end of the taste is maybe where we know that this isn't just Highland peat or something like that. This is still on the island of Islay, and then you get a little bit more of that seaside oceanic flavor from the peat. You can see I'm just smiling because this is just so good, and sometimes it's overlooked in the other offerings from this island, like I said, Ardbeg, Lagavulin, Lafroig, Kilhoman is another young one that also does very interesting stuff. They're kind of close, Kilhoman and Bruichladdich, and they both have similar vibes in a weird way. And then you have Kalila right there. We've talked about that. That's a very seaweedy type of dram. And then another favorite, Bruichladdich, which does both. They're known for their just no peat at all. Wonderful 12, one of my favorite whiskeys of all time. They do some peated things too. On the finish, sunflower. I love Scotch whiskey. I love Scotch whiskey, and I do not lie. I will not lie. I do not lie. Whatever. It's just so good. On the end, it is like you've eaten. It is barbecue notes. Barbecue. Yeah, it's just very, very good. It's a little bit oaky on the end, and yeah, it's not overly seaweed or briny, but there is a little bit kind of like a seaweed olive oil taste on the end. Okay, it's just delicious. A few more things about this whiskey that I love. One, like I said, it's a smaller distillery. They really put all effort in there. I ask you to go look at the website, and I'll probably look at the link. It's just a very cool. They're a little more modern as such. They don't go for that kind of old school looking kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. I love that stuff too. But they do it right. They've taken this kind of certain kind of in typography and all that, the bottling. It's all very cool. Secondly, this is bottled at 50%. Very few of the 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds in this price range are bottled at 50. I'd have to look and dig around a little bit to tell you what Ardbeg 10 and Lafroig 10 is. Maybe it's probably 45, 46 or something like that. But this is 50% ABV. And when I tell you that, I will tell you also that yes, all single malt Scotch whiskey right now is expensive. It's always expensive, but it's either because of their parent companies or some of these bigger distilleries are trying to make this super premium products that only people that have no taste and know nothing will buy. And they just want to buy it because they want to buy stuff. And I call the boardroom show off or showing off in your study. Yeah, some of those people have some taste. I get it, but that's what that's for. There's no reason to take what would be the Lagavulin and jack up the prices, or Oban and jack up the prices. That's one reason, but the other reason is we're constantly having this whole tariff thing and counter tariffs and all that. So prices are up. I will tell you that right now, I checked a couple of shops. This is a $70 whiskey. It should be about a $60 whiskey, and that's where it was when I bought it. But compared to other companies that are jacking up the prices more, a $10 increase. I could live with that, and actually, you're going to get more whiskey for that amount of money than if you buy a bigger name. Like I said, it's a little bit, but also remember again, let's say you're looking at a Lefroy 10 that's even more expensive, and you're looking at this, and the Lefroy is at 46, or they're giving you something that doesn't even have a core range, whatever their latest ones that are kind of at the bottom of the range, and don't have an age statement. 10-year-old whiskey, all natural, bottle of 50%. It's good. It's good. And if you're not buying whiskey. I ask you next time you're at a whiskey bar and you're going to drink some whatever, bourbon is supposed to be the big hit right now, and you're listening to some bartender that doesn't really know what they're talking about. Look at the Scotch whiskey shelf. I will almost guarantee you that you're going to see either Port Charlotte, which is the peated one, or you're going to see Bruichladdich, Classic Laddie. It's a nice blue bottle, kind of this color right here. All right, I would dig it out, but I don't want to, and I got to eat a little food here before I go to bed. A lot of fun here. Like I said, we're going to kind of close down the summer talk, and I'm just going to start looking around and try to find some, try some tips. I'm not going to do as much kind of just reviewing of bottles. I'm just noticing that, I'm a musician and a music teacher, and I do like to provide a little bit of information on this stuff. I don't want to go over, too overboard and hello class, but I do want to sometimes let people know a little bit more about what I like to drink and what they might be looking at when they're looking at the whiskey bottles, because it just makes I've given up on an informed electorate, but if I can get some informed whiskey enthusiasts out there, I'd be very, very happy. Sounds good. All right. Bruichladdich, Port Charlotte, 10-year-old, all natural everything. It's delicious. This would just be perfect to eat. Just have it a little barbecue, especially when it's by water. It'd just be great. You know what I mean? You're going to go out in the rocks or even out on the beach. It's not weird to have this out there once it gets a little cooler. Another thing that I've noticed that peated Scotch whiskey, whether it's blended or single malt, as long as you want to, if you're going to mix it with food, sometimes people don't. I mean, not blend it with food, but drink it while you're eating. Really goes good with certain types of pizzas. There you go. All right, and who doesn't like pizza? Who likes pizza more than me? I mean, look at me. Half of me looks like a pizza. Anyway, all right. Half of me looks like a pizza. The other looks like a nice peated single malt Scotch whiskey. We'll see you next time. Pretty cool. All right. Bruichladdich.